Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie K. Cooper here today with an interview long in the making, it seems like. I don't know how long, a couple of months ago, I picked this book up at random and fell in love with it. Just an amazing book. Thought, oh my gosh, he must live in Virginia or Kentucky or Kansas or whatever. But you're a Londoner by birth, Chris Whitaker.
I am. Can I just say thank you for doing this as well? I've been looking forward to this one for ages.
I have too. I really have. I'm just so excited about it because the book really did make an impact on me. And it did seem like such an Americana type of story. And then to find out about you just added that much more flavor to it. Right. So, I want to know the person who did this.
Okay. So shall I tell you the story behind the book?
Yeah, just tell me. This is your second or third book?
Third book.
Third book.
My first big one. It's kind of like my US debut.
Okay. All right. And how did the genesis of this story come about? And
in the strangest way, Jackie, I was 19 and I was out. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to be a writer. Didn't give any thought to school. I was not academic in any way at all. But I was out, so I was bouncing from job to job, having left school with no qualifications really. And I was out dropping leaflets through people's doors quite early one morning in London. And someone came up to me and asked to borrow my phone. And being a Londoner, I knew that I was going to get mugged. I know, sadly, it's not an uncommon thing, but he wasn't very big, and I fancied my chances. So I said no and put up a bit of a fight, and then he pulled out a kitchen knife and stabbed me in the side 3 times. And
did he say, "Give me your wallet or I'm going to stab you in the side," or did he?
He didn't. No, he asked for my phone, then he asked for my wallet, and then we were kind of shoving each other, and then the knife came out, and I thought he wasn't going to use it because it was quite big. It was just the sort of knife that you scare someone with, and then I didn't know.
Any kind of knife would scare me.
Yeah,
but that's me.
But I didn't know I was being stabbed because the adrenaline's going, and I just thought he was punching me until I looked down and saw the blood, and so it was pretty rough. And then I got myself to hospital, and they stitched me back together again. And then everything went wrong when I got home. It was I didn't know about PTSD. I didn't know why I felt so bad, basically, why I couldn't sleep or watch TV or read a book or do anything really. Everything just kind of fell apart. So it was really tough.
Did you feel guilty for being mugged, or did
I didn't want to be a burden to my parents, because my brother's quite high achieving, and I didn't want to be the one that they had to worry about. So I just kept put on a brave face and suffered in silence. And I was drinking and taking drugs and just doing things I shouldn't have been doing, just to try and get through it.
Well, had you experimented with drugs and alcohol before, and this just intensified it, or?
Not really drugs. I was a drinker from a mid-teen to kind of a young teen. It was the done thing, but no, this was something else. This was doing it alone, just because I couldn't sleep and I couldn't kind of function. So it was.
Did you talk to anybody about it, Chris?
I didn't know. I didn't tell anyone. I had a girlfriend at the time. Didn't tell her. Didn't tell my parents. Didn't tell my brother. They would slap me on the back, kind of, in a kind of man, get on with it kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like bravado. Like you did a brave thing. You got away with it. You should kind of count yourself lucky. But obviously, I didn't feel lucky at all. So I was. Things got really bad, and I was going to take a load of painkillers, and this was my way out, basically. And then I got a book from the library, and it was kind of a self-help therapy book. and it had a technique in it where you take the incident, the traumatic incident, you change the characters involved to fictional characters, you change the location and the outcome. And I wrote Duchess, and I was 19, so 20 years ago I wrote Duchess appeared on the page almost fully formed.
Tied it with that experience.
Yeah, it was. So I wanted to write a character that was struggling more than me, and I wanted to write someone. So if I was feeling angry, I'd make her 10 times angrier. If I was lonely, she was totally alone in the world.
You know, that really does make sense.
Yeah, and that's how she was born. But again, it was a writing exercise. It wasn't a book. It wasn't. I never intended to publish it. I never thought about writing a story. I just needed to get through this time. So I wrote a scene, a bar scene from the book where Duchess's mother's playing guitar on stage and being heckled. And I wrote that scene, and then I went to bed and slept. And I hadn't slept for a long time, you know, pretty much since that incident. And I slept for probably 6 hours, which was like a miracle. So so it worked. It got me through that night. And then.
And this was the night that you had even thought about ending it all.
Yeah, I was certainly going to do it without a doubt. You know, I've said before that the book saved my life, and Duchess kind of saved my life, and it's absolutely true. So yeah, so I got through it, but it wasn't a quick fix. I probably a few weeks later, I drove my car off the side of the road and rolled it over onto its roof and had a scar down my cheek from that. But again, didn't tell anyone. Like my mum just thought I was drink driving, so she had a go at me because she didn't know kind of how bad it was, and I was quite good at pretending. So I went back and wrote Duchess again. Every time I was struggling, I went back and just wrote random scenes that would later become the book. And then probably a year went by, and I needed to work out what I wanted to do. You know, I had no real idea. I was 20 and read an article in the newspaper about a stockbroker who had a Ferrari. And I'm a massive car fan. And I thought, I'm going to go into the city and become a stockbroker because it's that easy, Jackie. That's what I thought at the time. So I went into London with my terrible CV, and I started just going into companies, knocking on doors and asking for a job, basically. And one of them, I think, just took pity on me. And
looks nice, he looks smart.
Yeah,
just exactly. Give him a job.
So they gave me a job as a stockbroker, a trainee, and so it was a lot of client entertaining. It was you know, kind of out all night, that kind of life. So again, I was taking drugs and drinking too much, and I'm not a person that I don't do things by halves really. So it was a bit of it was a tough time again, but I enjoyed it. I was a young man working in the city, and then I worked my way up onto a trading desk, and the day before I started, my boss said to me, "If you lose $20,000, we stop you trading." And then the next day, I came in and lost $2 million.
$2 million? $2
million. Yeah. So I didn't tell anyone as well because I didn't want to get in trouble. So, yeah. So one of my friends worked in the back office, so I said to him, "Let's keep it quiet. You know, I'll make it back." Which is, yeah, exactly. Which is kind of ludicrous because I didn't know what I was doing. So probably a few weeks went by, and I lost a bit more money, and then came in one day, and everyone was waiting for me in the boardroom, and there was a seat. There were lawyers and partners and bosses, and there was an empty seat at the end of the table for me. So I came in and sat down and basically got told that, you know, they could go to the police because it was illegal what I had done. But I'd also started making money again at this point, and they said to me, they very kindly said, "If you pay back half of it, we'll let you carry on working here." And so I signed a contract there and then.
$1 million you had to pay back.
$1 million, yeah. So I signed the contract, and I got the train home, and I was $1 million in debt at the age of 24. So Gee. Yeah, so I was in trouble again. I
want to interject one thing in here, because you were talking about that you graduated, you didn't know what you wanted to do, you didn't know where you wanted to go. You're friends with John Hart, the author.
I am now. Yep.
Yeah. And John Hart and I are friends also, and we have this in common.
Mhm.
I was in high school, junior year of high school, and I've told this story on YouTube a million times, but my English teacher said, I hear you're going to college. What are you going to study? And I didn't have a clue. I was like you were.
Yeah.
And that was on a Friday. She said, Monday, come in and tell me what you're going to do. Monday, I went in, and the most fabulous thing I could think about being, I said, I'm going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And I thought that would end it. But then she called my parents, told them how proud she was that I was going to be a lawyer. They got excited. Chris, I went all the way through law school, practiced law for 10 years, never wanting to be a lawyer.
Wow. That makes
Never.
me feel better. That really does.
Yeah. And I tell, when I have two sons, and when both my sons were in college, I said, if you get to the last minute of the last hour of the last day before you graduate and you decide this is not what I want to do, I said, we'll change. Because people get locked into things.
You do. And it's too young, isn't it, to choose what
you
want.
You don't know what you're doing.
No, you need to try different things to find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You are expected to commit. So if you want to be a doctor or something, it's like
you've got to commit to all that education and whatever. And there's some wonderful lawyers. I'm not saying, let's dump all the lawyers or whatever, but it wasn't for me. I just, on a fluke, got locked into it. So you're still trading. You're paying back $1 million.
Yep.
You're going on with your life, I assume.
I am. I reached another point where I was taking drugs again and contemplating doing something drastic because I couldn't see a way out of, I couldn't see a way of paying back £1 million and $1 million. And my fiance at the time, we were planning a wedding, and the wedding costs were spiraling.
And did she know any of this?
No, she didn't know anything. My parents didn't know anything. I like to project an image that everything is okay. And you don't.
That's what is so amazing, is because people do go about their normal lives, and it's like the swan or whatever, they're gliding on top and they're paddling like mad underneath, trying to cope with these horrendous thoughts that they have.
And that's exactly what I was doing. And it was, again, going back to Duchess, back to what would become We Begin at the End, that got me through that second time.
Did you realize you had talent as a writer, though?
No,
you were writing these stories?
No, I still don't know that, Jackie, for certain.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
No, but I didn't, because it wasn't a book or anything. It was a writing exercise. It was a way to, and it was just, I became attached to this character, to checking into Montana. I'd have a really bad day at work, and my wife, I'd sit down, we'd have dinner, watch TV, and then she'd go to bed, and I'd get up again and would log into my computer and kind of mentally travel to Montana, 4,000 miles away, and just write some Duchess, some scenes with this girl who was undoubtedly having a more difficult time than me. And I found some comfort in that.
Let her problems be more than your problems.
Yeah, exactly. And let her be tougher than me. And if she can get through it, then so can I. So I paid back the money.
I love that you use that.
Yeah. I think without doubt, I used it. And then I paid back the money, and it took years, and I worked it off, paid it back, and then read a book called The Last Child by John Hart, and then read
Great book.
Yeah, it is such a good book, isn't it? Johnny Merriman, love that character. And then I read an interview with John Hart, and he was a lawyer, and he quit law to write a book, and I found it so inspiring that the next day quit my job in London, in the city, because I wanted to write a book. I was looking for that constant in my life. I look back over the past decade, and I thought, when have I been happy? And it was the only times was when I was sitting down writing. And is
that still true today?
Yeah. Oh yeah, without doubt. I would write for free. I would write. My agent will kill me for saying that. And I would write, if no one were to ever read a word of what I was writing, I would continue to write without doubt. I need it in my life. So I came home and told my wife, my pregnant wife, who was a student, that I had quit my job. and that we had no income, but I was going to write a book. Now, bear in mind that she didn't know I'd ever written anything in my life. So we had a difficult conversation. and then the next day we sold our apartment, sold our car, and cut back our living expenses.
God bless her.
Yeah, she was just brilliant like that. I think she'd always known that I wasn't happy and wasn't entirely present, if that makes sense. And
I remember the same thing, Chris. I remember coming home and telling my wife, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't practice law anymore. I can't do it. And she was like, what do you mean you can't do it?
I know,
and,
isn't it?
But I wanted to write. I wanted to review movies. I wanted to review books. I had this craving. I'd gotten an opportunity, and I found another job that provided me with enough to live on. And then I plunged into the side things that made me happy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So I carried on trading, but with my own money, on a much smaller scale, because it paid the bills. And I got busy writing, but I put We Begin at the end to one side, because it didn't feel like I I wanted to share it. I didn't want it to be a book, if that makes sense. So I wrote my debut, Tall Oaks, which
I can understand that though, Chris, because it's a private experience reading that book.
It is, and it's funny, isn't it? Because it's about a 13-year-old girl in California, and I was in London. I'm a man, and
I know.
Really personal.
But one of my favorite authors is Pat Conroy. I don't know if you've ever read anything by Pat Conroy, or you need to.
I know the name. Yeah,
he's fantastic. But he writes with a sense of melancholy, and I felt that in your book.
Okay.
That every one of the characters, and there are a lot of characters in your book, has a sense of tragedy or foreboding or whatever. But it just gives a richness to your story because you began to care about these people so much. And it's
I like to see the flaws in people. I think going into this whole process, I've done dozens of events now in the US, and we've been building up to US publication for years. And I made the decision quite early to be completely honest about where the book came from and where the story came from. And at the back of my mind, I have it that my kids will read it one day, or see this interview, or see something, and I'll have to deal with that at some point. But
if you've been honest, you can deal with it.
Yeah, I think so too. But I wasn't honest, and my dad only found out about this story that I've just told you because he read about it in the Guardian in the UK, and that wasn't the best way. But because he phoned me one morning and said, "There's a story about you in the newspaper. Is it true?" And I said yes, and then he had to go at me for taking drugs in my past, because in his eyes I'm still a kid. But
sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But the book, your US debut, you said, was a huge success. I mean,
yeah, thankfully, yeah, it's been. I feel like I get daily, just constant messages every day from US readers, and I feel like I was so nervous about the US publication because it's me in the UK writing a book set somewhere I haven't been. It's a big and hanging an adult story on the shoulders of a 13-year-old girl. They're difficult things to do, to get right.
Yeah.
But it feels like Duchess has found her home in the US. People have warmed to her in a way that I didn't ever imagine. But it's been lovely.
I know you've sold the movie rights to Disney, and I've had a lot of author friends who have sold their books to movies, and they say it's like kissing goodbye, and I've loved you, good luck, because they lose control. I as excited I am that you're going to have a movie version of this book, I have such fears that what I loved about the book isn't going to survive.
No, I had this crazy week where I was meeting Hollywood studios. I was working in the library in the day and meeting these Hollywood studios.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was a strange time. And but the things that you loved about the book are probably the same things I love about the book, and they are the same things that the people at Disney love about the book. So that fills me with hope, and I can be as involved as I want to be, and they've already been incredibly supportive and in constant contact. And yeah, it's very exciting. It just feels right, you know. And Tommy Cale, that bought the book, it produced and directed Hamilton, which I loved Hamilton.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I thought it was a masterpiece. I thought it was
Absolutely.
so good. So there's incredibly talented people involved. So
Well, I've got high hopes. I'm just, so excited, and I'm going to think positive thoughts about how it's going to have the complete flavor of what you wrote.
And obviously we want Bailey Madison to play Duchess.
Yes. I've got her, and I've got a new person called Shiloh Verica, who is on a Netflix series called Country Comfort. Okay. And she's more age appropriate, but I'm in my mind, Duchess is such an amazing character.
Right.
She's this century's Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird. And
she's going to be a tough character to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it will take someone fully committed, I think.
Now, not that you should or whatever, but are you going to adapt this, write the screenplay, or is that left to someone else?
That will definitely be left to someone else. I sometimes get asked to write things like short stories and things like that, and I wouldn't be arrogant enough to assume that I could do it, having never done it before. You know, just because I know the book better than anyone else doesn't mean that I know how to translate it onto screen. I'd love to be involved and help, and certainly would do that, but I just wouldn't feel ready, I don't think, to do it. But maybe one day.
As long as you have some input, that's all I'm counting on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you know when they're going to start production? Things are loosening up with COVID and everything now. So do you know?
Yeah, everything's been delayed, hasn't it? Everything's been, we're working behind slightly. They're putting together a list of writers, which we'll then go through together. And that needs to be right, the right writer for this. It's just really exciting.
But Chris, looking at you and hearing your experiences and all, and I think back on this past year that we've gone through worldwide, and your life is exemplary of Dickens' statement. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, because the country was falling apart with COVID and whatever, and emerging out of that was all this. For you, it's just been a strange time, and I was supposed to be over in the US for most of this, but obviously that hasn't happened. So I'm hoping it will when the paperback comes out next year. I can come over and see everyone, because that would be really nice. Well, going back, and I get so excited about the book that I jump too much, but are you all right emotionally now with the book, or do you still have periods that you need to write about Duchess?
I'm okay. I had this kind of wobble where I didn't want them to publish it after I'd kind of, in the UK I'd been through many edits and decades writing the book, and then it got to very late in the day, and I thought, I can't do this. I emailed my editor and said, I can't finish this book. I can't, I don't want to carry on with it. And it'd been years. I was years past my deadline. And I have a brilliant editor, in the UK and US, and we got there in the end. So I was pleased about it. But yeah, I feel, I'm good. I'm resisting calls. Like, I get many messages to write another Duchess book, but I don't think I can. I don't unless I had something truly credible.
I can just say it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, if I had something truly credible to do with the characters, but
I could say, that story to me ended in the most complete way that it could end.
Yeah, I think so. We had a snapshot of a year in the life of Duchess.
Yeah, and that was all we needed.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
I would be doing it for the wrong reasons.
I can hear all the people now saying that Jackie Cooper said, "Don't write a sequel."
That's what I'm going to say.
Jackie Cooper told me not to do it. But I'm running out of time because I don't want this to go too long, but I wanted to go to the title because I saw an interview you did. I was doing my research and watching different interviews you did. And you said that the title can relate to a religious theme in the title.
It can.
And I had not thought of that before.
Yeah.
I am a man of faith, and I do believe that things begin at the end. And I love the fact that that was a relationship of the title that you could make.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an important one as well, because it was, you know, had Duchess's grandfather been a man of faith, he undoubtedly would have found comfort in that statement. You know, he would have went losing his daughter, you know.
Yes.
He says in the book, you know, if you believe that for 1 second there was something else.
I was already, you know, mulling the book over and over after I read it. And then I saw that interview with you and you made that statement, and I went back and looked at in my thoughts from that aspect, and it fit. It fit.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so.
And I'll say this, Chris, I hope that this interview is taking place, is beginning with the end. All of the problems in the past, nothing but good times ahead.
I hope so, Jackie.
I hope so too. This has been fantastic. I have waited for this. I've been excited about this, and you have lived up to every expectation. And gosh, I can't wait for the next book. You know, no pressure, but I'll be sitting there waiting for it to come. So
thank you very. I'll make sure you get a copy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your time today.
Of course, thank you for having me.